Most damage is done in seconds. A sentence spoken too fast, an action taken without thought. Reaction feels natural, but it is costly. Control begins in the pause. This audiobook trains that pause. You will learn to slow the moment, to separate emotion from action, to respond with intent instead of impulse. Control is not suppression, it is precision. Chapter 1. Stop reacting automatically. Most people live in reaction. Something happens. A word is spoken, a message arrives, a mistake appears, and instantly the mind moves. Emotion, impulse, action, no space, no control, no authority. This is how power is lost. Automatic reactions feel natural. They feel fast. They feel honest. But they are mechanical. They are habits running you. When you react without awareness, the world decides your behavior. Other people press buttons. Situations pull strings. Circumstances dictate direction. And you follow. Not because you must. Because you never paused long enough to choose. You have a choice. That sentence is simple. It is also the dividing line between weakness and strength. If you do not see the choice, you live as a puppet. If you see it, you begin to live as a commander. That's the key. Your first task is not to become calmer. Your first task is not to become wiser. Your first task is to interrupt the automatic pattern. Right now, reaction is faster than thought. Someone criticizes you. You defend. Something delays you. You get irritated. A plan changes. You resist. News appears, you worry. This speed feels justified. It feels necessary. It is not. It is conditioning. And conditioning can be retrained. But you must be willing to slow down the moment that feels urgent. Especially the moment that feels urgent. It's not about comfort. It's about discipline. Discipline begins in the smallest slice of time. The few seconds between event and response. Right there. That is where your freedom lies. If you miss it, you return to habit. If you claim it, you build control. Most people never claim it. They say, "That's just how I am." They say, "I couldn't help it." They say, "Anyone would react." These are excuses that protect weakness. You don't need their permission to be different. You can become the person who pauses, even if no one around you does. Especially then, let us make this practical. A trigger appears. Instead of speaking, you breathe. Instead of typing, you wait. Instead of moving, you observe. You create distance. Not forever, just seconds, but seconds are enough. In those seconds, the storm loses force. The emotion rises and begins to fall. Clarity enters. You remember who you are trying to become. And now you can choose. I do not react instantly. Say it internally. Repeat it until it becomes identity. I pause first. Again, I choose my response. This is the new pattern. At first, it will feel unnatural. You will want to jump back into speed. You will want relief. Pause anyway, because relief is temporary. Regret is heavy. Every automatic reaction strengthens the old wiring. Every pause builds a new one. You are training authority over yourself. Understand this clearly. Life will keep provoking you. People will remain imperfect. Systems will remain inefficient. Delays will continue. Disagreements will exist. The world is not reorganizing itself for your emotional comfort. So if your stability depends on perfect conditions, you will always be unstable. You must build stability that travels with you. And that stability is built in the pause. You have a choice. Between stimulus and behavior. Between emotion and action. Between urge and decision. Most never notice you will. That's the key. Do not confuse pausing with weakness. It is strength under control. Anyone can explode. Anyone can defend. Anyone can interrupt. Anyone can panic. That requires no training. But remaining still long enough to choose the best response. That is rare. That is power. You don't need their permission to practice it. Some people will push for your immediate reaction. They want speed. They want drama. They want emotional return. Give them composure instead. Let them feel the presence of someone who cannot be rushed. You are not slow. You are deliberate. There is a difference. Deliberate people shape outcomes. Reactive people suffer them. You are changing categories. Now, expect difficulty. The old self will fight back. Habit hates interruption. You may fail. You may react too quickly. Good. Notice it. Awareness is progress. Next time, lengthen the pause. From 0 seconds to 1. From 1 to 3. From 3 to 5. This is how control grows. Not in theory, in repetition. I do not react instantly. I pause first. I choose my response again and again until it becomes automatic. Yes, automatic. We are replacing one automation with another. From impulsive to intentional. From emotional to directed. From weak to disciplined. It's not about comfort. It's about discipline. Comfort says, release the feeling now. Discipline says, wait. Comfort says, speak. Discipline says, consider. Comfort says, defend yourself. Discipline says, is that necessary? You are building the disciplined voice. And once that voice becomes stronger than the impulse, your life changes rapidly. Conflicts reduce, mistakes decrease. Respect increases, because people trust those who control themselves. But more importantly, you trust yourself. You know you will not betray your future with a moment of heat. That confidence is earned in pauses. Small victories, repeated daily. You have a choice. Remember it when the pressure rises. Remember it when emotion demands speed. Remember it when habit screams. You are not removing feeling. You are directing behavior. That's the key. Here is the takeaway. If you can delay reaction, you can redesign your life. Because your life is built from responses. And from now on, your responses will be chosen, not triggered. Carry this into the next lesson. Because once you stop reacting automatically, the next step is learning what deserves your energy at all. Let's move there now. Chapter 2. Create space between stimulus and response. Control does not appear by accident. It appears in space. A moment happens. Something pulls at you. An emotion begins to rise. Most people move immediately. They call that natural. They call that honest. They call that unavoidable. It is none of those things. It is untrained behavior. Between what happens and what you do, there is a gap, small, often invisible, but always present. Inside that gap is your authority. Inside that gap is your freedom. Inside that gap is the person you are becoming. Miss the gap and habit takes over. Enter the gap and leadership begins. Space gives me control. Understand this deeply. Without space, you are owned by events. With space, you own your response. That's the key. You are not trying to stop the world from moving. You are not trying to remove difficulty. You are not trying to silence people. You are training yourself to pause before participation. You have a choice. But choice requires time. Even a second is enough. Yet most people never take it. They live at the speed of impulse. Fast anger, fast defense, fast explanation, fast regret. They are always cleaning up what a pause could have prevented. You will not live that way anymore. From now on, when pressure appears, you create space. Deliberately, physically if necessary. You breathe. Slow inhale. Slow exhale, nothing dramatic. Nothing theatrical. Just enough to interrupt momentum. Because momentum is what carries you into automatic behavior. Break momentum. Regain command. Space gives me control. You can also count. 1, 2, 3, not to calm down. To take ownership. Counting forces the mind to wait. Waiting weakens impulse. Weakened impulse allows intelligence to enter. Now you are no longer reacting. Now you are deciding. I slow the moment. Yes, you stretch time. You refuse urgency that is not real. Most urgency is emotional, not practical. It feels immediate. It is rarely important. Very few situations require instant reaction. Almost all benefit from measured response. Remember that. When someone pushes you for speed, recognize what is happening. They are pulling you back into reflex. Stay in control. You don't need their permission to take a breath. You don't need their permission to think. You don't need their permission to remain composed. Your pace is your power. Another method is posture. Simple, effective. Before you speak, straighten your back, set your feet, lift your head. Why? Because the body influences the mind. A stable posture creates a stable response. A rushed body produces a rushed decision. Slow the body. The mind follows. I decide deliberately. This becomes your identity. Not dramatic. Not slow for attention. There's a difference. Deliberate people are trusted. Reactive people are tolerated. You are done being tolerated. You are building reliability within yourself, and reliability is born in space. Now expect resistance. The impulse will argue. It will say it now. It will say, move now. It will say, do something. You will hear it. And you will wait anyway. It's not about comfort. It's about discipline. Comfort wants discharge. Discipline wants direction. Direction requires evaluation. Evaluation requires time. Time is created in the gap. Space gives me control. Repeat it until the mind obeys. Let us remove confusion. Creating space does not make you passive. It makes you effective. You still act. You still speak. You still decide. But now the action comes from judgment, not emotion. This changes everything. Fewer words. Better timing. Cleaner outcomes. Because you are no longer adding chaos to chaos. You are introducing order. You have a choice. Rush or regulate. Impulse or intention. The untrained person believes speed equals strength. It does not. Anyone can be fast. Very few can be accurate under pressure. Accuracy lives in space. That's the key. Imagine building this habit daily. Every trigger becomes practice traffic. Messages. Delays. Instead of irritation, you train separation. Event. Pause. Decision. Again. Pause. Decision. This is mental architecture. You are building structure where there was noise. At first, you will forget. You will jump too quickly. Fine. Notice it. Reset. Do better on the next one. Progress is measured in increased space, longer pauses, cleaner choices. Soon, people will notice something different. You are harder to provoke, harder to rush, harder to manipulate. Why? Because they cannot remove you from the gap. And in that gap, you are sovereign. You don't need their permission to operate there. Make space your default response. Not once, not sometimes, always. Breathe first. Count if necessary. Set your posture. Then speak. Then move. Then decide. I slow the moment. Yes, because slowing the moment allows wisdom to catch up. Impulse is always early. Intelligence arrives a second later. Wait for it. Space gives me control. Here is the takeaway. If you create space, you create power. If you create space, you prevent regret. If you create space, you become deliberate in a world of reflex. Chapter 3. Neutralize the first emotional surge. The first wave is loud. It feels true. It feels urgent. It feels undeniable. It is also unreliable. Your initial emotional surge is the mind's alarm system, fast, protective, primitive, useful for survival, terrible for judgment. If you obey it without question, you will repeatedly choose poorly, not because you are incapable, because you acted too soon. Emotion passes. You must learn this at a physical level, not just an intellectual one. Every feeling rises, peaks, fallways. But most people never stay long enough to watch the fall. They react at the peak. They mistake intensity for accuracy. That mistake creates damage. Anger speaks, fear retreats. Pride defends. Then later comes understanding. Later comes perspective. Later comes the sentence, I shouldn't have done that. Too late. You moved before clarity arrived. You will not repeat that pattern. You will become the person who can stand inside the surge without moving. That is strength. You have a choice. When emotion spikes, you can discharge it into action, or you can let it burn itself out. One path is immediate. The other is disciplined. It's not about comfort. It's about discipline. Because waiting while emotion is high is uncomfortable. Your body will push you. Your thoughts will shout, act, speak, fix, escape. You will hear the command. And you will remain still. I waited out. This is not suppression. You are not pretending the emotion does not exist. You are acknowledging it without obeying it. Big difference. Suppression stores energy. Observation dissolves it. Feel the surge. Notice where it sits in the body. Notice the heat. Notice the speed of thought. But keep your hands still. Keep your mouth closed. You are training containment. Containment creates authority. Most adults never learn this. They become older but not stronger. Because strength is measured by how much emotion you can experience without losing direction. That's the key. The first surge is rarely intelligent. It exaggerates. It assumes. It predicts catastrophe. It personalizes everything. It wants certainty immediately. But certainty built in emotion is almost always wrong. If you can endure a short delay, perception improves dramatically. Emotion passes. Give it time. Imagine a glass of muddy water. Shake it, and you cannot see through it. Leave it alone, and the dirt settles. Your mind works the same way. Stop shaking it with action. Let the sediment fall. Clarity returns. But only if you wait. You don't need their permission to wait. Others may demand response. They may push for reaction. They may escalate. Let them. You are not required to join their lack of control. Your responsibility is self-mastery, nothing else. Now understand the cost of failing here. One emotional decision can destroy hours, days, or years of progress. A message sent in heat, a word spoken in pride, a move made in fear. Permanent consequences. Temporary emotion. Is that a trade you want to keep making? You already know the answer. So you will change the timing. I waited out again. I waited out. You are buying accuracy. You are buying dignity. You are buying better outcomes. And the price is patience measured in minutes, sometimes seconds. A small cost for enormous return. During the surge, your job is simple. Do nothing irreversible. No statements you cannot retract. No actions you cannot undo. Wait. Let the nervous system complete its cycle. Because it will, it always does. Emotion passes. Even the strongest wave cannot remain at full height. It collapses under its own energy. But you must allow the collapse. If you interfere, you restart it. Let nature help you. Stand firm while it moves through. Breathe if you need to. Ground your posture. Look away from the trigger. But do not act. This is internal combat. Impulse versus intention. And intention wins by lasting longer. You are building endurance. The endurance to remain intelligent while feeling intensely. Very few people possess this, which is why very few people consistently make good decisions under stress. You are becoming different. Not louder, not faster, more precise. Clarity returns. And when it does, notice what happens. Options appear. Language improves. Proportion corrects itself. What felt like an emergency becomes manageable. What felt like an insult becomes information. What felt unbearable becomes temporary. Now you are fit to choose. Now action has quality. Before it had speed. Speed is cheap. Quality requires waiting. You have a choice. Obey the surge, or outlast it. Outlasting it builds identity. You begin to trust yourself in difficult moments. You know you will not collapse into reaction. You will hold. And from that holding comes power. That's the key. Here is the takeaway. The first emotional signal is a warning, not a command. Treat as data, not direction. Wait for the mind to clear. Then move. Carry this discipline forward. Because once you can survive the surge, the next step is learning how to think correctly after the emotion fades. Chapter 4. Control tone before content. Most people focus on what to say. They search for the right argument, the perfect explanation, the winning sentence. They are obsessed with content, and they lose the moment. Because delivery speaks louder than language. How you speak announces who is in control. Tone first, before ideas, before logic, before persuasion. If your tone is unstable, your message is weak. If your tone is steady, even simple words carry weight. That's the key. People do not only hear meaning, they read emotional posture. They detect tension. They detect fear. They detect aggression. And the instant they sense instability, they stop listening. Now they are reacting to you instead of hearing you. This is why intelligent people fail in conflict. They bring good arguments in a poor tone, and poor tone destroys credibility. You have a choice. You can chase perfect wording, or you can regulate delivery. Regulate delivery, and words improve automatically. Because a calm nervous system thinks better. So before you respond, check your instrument, your voice. If it rises, you are losing ground. If it speeds up, you are losing clarity. If it becomes sharp, you are losing influence. Lower it, slow it, reduce it. Less words, more control. Yes, reduction is strength. When emotion rises, people add language. They repeat themselves. They intensify. They try to force understanding. It never works. Pressure invites resistance. Measured speech invites attention. I stay measured. Make this your rule. Not quiet because you are weak. Controlled because you are disciplined. It's not about comfort. It's about discipline. Your impulse will want volume. It will want speed. It will want emphasis. Because it believes intensity equals authority. It does not. Authority is calm. Authority does not rush. Authority does not shout. Authority does not chase agreement. It presents. Then it stands. Tone first. You can say very little and still dominate the direction of a conversation. If your delivery is grounded, think about what happens when someone remains composed while others escalate. Who appears stronger? Always the one who is steady. Stability signals confidence. Instability signals doubt. You are training stability. Now make it practical. Before you speak, exhale. Let the breath drop your shoulders. Let the jaw loosen. Then speak at 70% of your normal volume. Maybe even slower than feels natural. This will feel strange in the beginning. Good. Strange means you are interrupting habit. Habit was speed and heat. Now you are precision and restraint. Less words, more control. Cut unnecessary explanation. Say what is required. Then stop. Silence is not weakness. Silence is pressure. Silence forces the other person to meet you in the space you created. And because you are calm, that space favors you. You don't need their permission to speak slowly. You don't need their permission to be brief. You don't need their permission to refuse drama. Let others perform. You remain deliberate. I stay measured. Repeat it internally while they talk. It will anchor you. Now notice something important. When your tone stabilizes, your thinking follows. You begin choosing cleaner sentences. You avoid exaggeration. You remove insult. You stay with facts. This improves outcomes immediately. Because now the conversation can move forward instead of sideways. Many conflicts continue not because of disagreement, but because of emotional contamination. Tone carries that contamination. Remove it, and progress becomes possible. Tone first, always, even if you are correct. Especially if you are correct, because being right delivered poorly still produces failure. Understand the responsibility. Your voice can either calm the environment or ignite it. Choose. You have a choice. Escalate or regulate. Most escalate by default. You will regulate by training. And once regulation becomes habit, people will experience you differently. Harder to provoke, harder to misinterpret, harder to dismiss. Your presence becomes heavier. Not louder, heavier. Because it is rooted. Clarity respects calm delivery. Emotion resists emotional delivery. Do not feed chaos, stabilize it. Less words, more control. Remember, brevity forces accuracy. If you cannot speak calmly in fewer words, you are not ready to speak. Wait, recenter, then continue. This is maturity in action, not age skill. And skills are built in repetition. Every conversation becomes practice. Lower the voice, slow the pace. Remove the extra again. Lower the voice, slow the pace. Remove the extra. I stay measured. Here is the takeaway. Your tone teaches people how to treat you. If it is reactive, they will push. If it is grounded, they will adjust. Master delivery, and content becomes powerful. Carry this forward. Because once you can control how you speak, the next step is deciding when speaking is necessary at all. Let's move into that. Chapter 5. Remove the need to win every moment. You are not upset because something happened. You are upset because your ego was touched. A comment, a look, a disagreement, a lack of recognition. Small things. But the ego treats them as threats. So it demands response. Correct them, prove them wrong. Defend your image. Protect your status. And suddenly a minor moment becomes a battle. Unnecessary. Draining. I do not need to win. Understand how radical this is. Most people walk into every interaction prepared for combat. They measure tone. They search for disrespect. They anticipate challenge. Why? Because the ego is hungry. It wants confirmation of superiority. It wants the final word. It wants visible victory. And it will sacrifice peace to get it. You are done paying that price. You have a choice. Protect the ego, or protect your stability. You cannot do both. That's the key. Every time you rush to correct someone, ask yourself, is this necessary? Or is this pride? Be honest. Pride disguises itself as principle. But usually it is just insecurity demanding reassurance. And reassurance obtained through argument never lasts. Another challenge will come tomorrow. So you fight again. This is addiction. You will step out of it. Ego steps back. Say it when you feel heat rising. Ego steps back. Let the sentence create distance between you and the urge. Because the urge to win is powerful. It feels righteous. It feels intelligent. But most of the time, it produces damage out of proportion to the issue. A relationship strained. An opportunity lost. A reputation altered. For what? A moment of feeling correct too expensive. I do not need to win. You are learning long-term strength. Short-term victories often create long-term problems. The mature person understands scale. Not everything deserves engagement. In fact, most things do not. When you answer every provocation, you train people to provoke you. When you ignore minor ones, they disappear. Why? Because they fail to produce reward. Silence is strength, yes. Silence denies drama oxygen, no reaction, no performance. Nothing to fight against. And without friction, many conflicts die on their own. But silence is difficult, because the ego wants expression. It wants to be seen defending itself. Let it want. You will not obey. It's not about comfort. It's about discipline. Discipline means tolerating the discomfort of not responding, of letting someone misunderstand temporarily, of allowing a comment to hang in the air without correction. You survive it. Your identity remains intact. Nothing collapses. In fact, something grows. Your self-command. You begin to realize you do not need constant validation. You do not need everyone aligned with you. You do not need the last word. That realization is freedom. You don't need their permission to let things pass. They may expect reaction. They may even try to bait you. Smile internally. They are handing you practice. Practice in restraint. Practice in perspective. Practice in rising above triviality. Ego steps back. Now let us be precise. This is not avoidance of real issues. Important matters still require clear communication. Boundaries still exist. Standards still matter. But the majority of daily irritations are small. Tiny. They do not deserve the energy of combat. If you treat every ant like a tiger, you will exhaust yourself. Save strength for what truly matters. That is wisdom. I do not need to win. Repeat it until urgency fades. Watch what happens. The emotional spike weakens. Your breathing slows. Your thoughts regain proportion. You start seeing alternatives. Ignore redirect. Respond later. Or not at all. These options only appear when ego is not in control. That's the key. The need to win is often the need to be safe. But real safety comes from internal steadiness, not external dominance. You are safe because you govern yourself, not because you defeated someone in conversation. Let others chase trophies. You build character. And character is quiet. Silence is strength. There is enormous authority in someone who cannot be pulled into petty conflict. People feel it. They may not understand it, but they respect it. Because they sense independence. Nothing hooks you. Nothing drags you downward. You remain upright. Now imagine this practice daily. 10 ignored provocations. 20 energy preserved. Focus retained. Mind clear. Your life improves simply because you stopped fighting unnecessary wars. Ego steps back. Again, ego steps back. You are not smaller for doing this. You are larger. Because you operate above impulse, above pride, above the childish demand to dominate. You have a choice. React for applause, or remain silent for growth. Choose growth. Here is the takeaway. When you remove the need to win every moment, you win where it actually counts. In stability, in reputation, in self-respect. Carry this discipline with you. Because once ego loosens its grip, the next step is learning how to focus only on what truly deserves your attention and energy. Let's move there now. Chapter 6. Train emotional delay. Daily control is not built in theory. It is built in time. Specifically, in the time you refuse to act. Delay builds control. Most people live in immediacy. Message arrives. They answer. Desire appears. They buy idea forms. They commit fast. Automatic. Unquestioned. And then they wonder why their lives feel chaotic. Because speed amplifies error. When you remove delay, you remove evaluation. When you remove evaluation, impulse becomes authority. You already know where that leads. You are changing the structure. From now on, you insert waiting into ordinary life. Not because waiting is pleasant, because waiting is training. It's not about comfort. It's about discipline. Every postponed response strengthens the muscle of regulation. Every time you resist urgency, you increase self-command. You are proving something to yourself.
I can wait. Yes, you can.
Even when the mind argues otherwise, understand how the nervous system lies. It says, handle it now. It says, reply immediately. It says, decide before you lose the chance. Pressure. artificial pressure. Very little in daily life is truly urgent, but the body reacts as if everything is. So you must retrain it. How? Delay. Small delays. Constant delays. A message comes in. Wait 10 minutes. You want to purchase something. Wait a day. You feel like agreeing to something. Sleep on it. Space reveals truth. Because intensity fades with time. What felt necessary often becomes optional. What felt brilliant often becomes average. What felt intolerable often becomes manageable. Delay builds control. You are separating emotion from decision. Most regret is born from collapsing those two into the same second. You will no longer collapse them. You will stretch them apart. I can wait. Say it when desire spikes. Say it when anxiety rises. Say it when excitement tries to rush you. Waiting does not remove opportunity. It filters stupidity. That's the key. If something is truly right, it will survive a short delay. If it disappears under patience, it was never stable. Let it go. You don't need their permission to take your time. Others may push you. Choose now. Commit now. Smile. Pressure is information. It tells you someone benefits from your speed, not you. Your responsibility is clarity. Clarity improves with distance. So you wait. Now, some people fear delay because they confuse it with weakness. They believe immediate action signals confidence. It often signals impulsiveness. Real confidence is comfortable with patience. Real confidence knows it will act when ready, not when provoked. I can wait. Build identity around this. Become the person who is difficult to rush, difficult to pressure, difficult to manipulate. Because manipulation requires immediacy. Remove immediacy, and influence weakens. This changes negotiations. This changes relationships. This changes mistakes. You start choosing from thought, not tension. Nothing is urgent. Repeat it carefully. Of course, emergencies exist, but they are rare. Your brain treats email like fire, opinion like attack, opportunity like survival. It is exaggerating. Calm it with time. Nothing is urgent. When you say this, your breathing shifts. Your shoulders drop. Perspective returns. Now you can evaluate properly. Should I respond? Should I buy? Should I agree? These questions need calm. Calm requires delay. You have a choice. Live fast and repair damage, or slow down and prevent it. Prevention is superior. It is quieter, less dramatic, but far more effective. Now understand the compounding effect. If you delay 10 small impulses per day, you strengthen restraint 10 times. In a month, that is hundreds of repetitions. You are rewiring temperament. You become less reactive without forcing it. Patience becomes normal. Why? Because you practiced. Not once. Daily. Delay builds control. Notice also what happens to emotion during waiting. It cools, it reorganizes. It sometimes disappears completely. Problems shrink when denied immediacy. Impulses starve when unfed. You begin to trust time. Time becomes an ally instead of an enemy. Again, I can wait. This is how maturity sounds internally. No panic, no rush, just steady authority over pace. You are learning to move when you choose, not when you are pushed. That is independence. And independence is power. Nothing is urgent. Let that sentence guard your decisions. Let it slow your reactions. Let it protect your future. Here is the takeaway. If you lengthen the time between feeling and action, you upgrade the quality of your life. Because better decisions are born from patience. Carry this forward. Because once you master delay, the next step is deciding which commitments are worthy of your time and which should never be accepted. Let's step into that next. Chapter 7. Stay grounded under disrespect. Disrespect is a test, not of your knowledge, not of your status, of your stability. Anyone can appear strong when treated well. The real measure appears when someone challenges you, doubts you, dismisses you, or speaks without care. What happens to you then? Most people collapse internally. Emotion rises, breathing changes, voice tightens. They rush to repair their image. And in that rush, they surrender control. Losing composure gives power away immediately. The person who upset you now directs you. They decide your mood. They shape your behavior. They own the moment. You will not hand over authority so cheaply. Calm is authority. Understand this visually. Two people stand in conflict. One is loud, reactive, animated. The other is still, measured, clear. Who appears stronger? Always the one who is grounded. Stillness communicates confidence. Reaction communicates insecurity. That's the key. You may not like what was said. It may even be unfair. But fairness is not the first objective. Self-command is. You have a choice. Defend your pride, or maintain your position. Often, defending pride destroys position. So you let pride wait. I remain grounded. Say it as soon as you feel the hit. Because you will feel it. Heat in the chest. Pressure in the throat. Thoughts accelerating. The body prepares for battle. You will not follow automatically. You will stabilize. Feet planted, back straight, breath slow. Physical grounding leads mental grounding. If your body is steady, escalation becomes harder. Control posture, and emotion follows. I remain grounded. Disrespect wants movement from you. It wants reaction. It wants proof that it landed. Deny it. No performance. No explosion. No defensive lecture. Just presence. You don't need their permission to remain composed. They might expect anger. Give them restraint. They might expect argument. Give them clarity. They might expect noise. Give them silence. Silence under pressure is unsettling to those seeking drama, because it returns responsibility to them. Now they must face their own behavior, and you remain intact. Calm is authority. Let us remove confusion. Staying grounded does not mean accepting mistreatment. It means choosing the timing and manner of your response. You can address the issue later. You can set boundaries. You can disengage. But you will do it without emotional leakage, because emotional leakage weakens impact. When people see you shaken, they stop respecting your words. When they see you steady, even simple statements carry force. Less energy, more influence. I am unmoved. Repeated internally, not as denial, as direction. You are instructing yourself not to chase the emotional hook. Hooks only work when you bite. Refuse. Now consider the alternative. You react instantly. Voice rises, words sharpen. You try to win. Maybe you succeed in overpowering them. But what did you lose? Composure, reputation, precision. And observers remember that. They remember who broke first. Do not be the one who breaks. It's not about comfort. It's about discipline. Discipline is holding structure when emotion tries to tear it down. Your structure is calm behavior. Protect it. At first, this will feel unnatural. You will want to correct immediately. You will want to assert dominance. Wait. Strength does not need immediate proof. It can afford patience. Weakness demands demonstration. You are not weak, so you remain steady. I am unmoved. Again, I am unmoved. Let the phrase anchor you. Now something remarkable begins to happen. When people fail to move you, they lose momentum. Their attack weakens. Their certainty fades. Why? Because reaction was the reward. Without reward, behavior changes. Your composure reshapes the environment. This is quiet power, not theatrical effective. You have a choice. Be provoked into someone else's script, or remain the author of your own. Choose authorship. Choose grounding. Choose authority. Calm is authority. Remember, emotional stability is visible. It communicates maturity without announcement. Others begin to measure themselves against it. They adjust. And if they do not, you still remain intact, which is the primary victory. Here is the takeaway. If someone can control your emotions, they control you. So protect your composure as you would protect your future. Stay upright, stay slow, stay deliberate. Carry this forward. Because once you can remain grounded under disrespect, the next step is learning how to direct attention away from noise and toward what truly deserves your energy. Let's go there now. Chapter 8. Choose silence over escalation. You have been trained to respond, to defend, to explain, to correct, to win. So when tension appears, your reflex is participation. You step in. You add words. You try to settle it. And very often, you make it worse. Because not every situation improves with your involvement. Some situations grow because of it. Not every moment requires your voice. That is maturity. Silence protects me. Understand what silence actually does. It interrupts momentum. Conflict feeds on exchange, back and forth. Energy returned for energy. Remove your contribution, and the chain weakens. Without reaction, escalation struggles to survive. But silence is difficult, because the ego wants expression. It wants representation. It wants to make sure you are not diminished. So it pushes you forward. Say something, do something, end this, and you obey. Then comes complication. You said too much. You revealed frustration. You created new angles of conflict. All preventable. If you had paused. You have a choice. Add fuel. Or remove oxygen. That's the key. Silence removes oxygen. Now let us clarify. Silence is not surrender. Silence is strategic non-participation. You are deciding the situation does not deserve growth. You are declining to invest energy. That is strength. Weakness is feeling compelled to answer everything. Strong people can ignore. I disengage calmly. Repeat it. Because disengagement requires awareness. You will feel the pull. The invitation to step into argument. Notice it. And then step back. Physically if necessary. Look away. Return to your work. End the conversation. No drama. No announcement. Just completion. I disengage calmly. Your nervous system will protest. It wants closure. It wants resolution immediately. But resolution forced in heat usually creates further disorder. Time cools what intensity inflames. So you let time do its work. You don't need their permission to stop talking. You don't need their permission to walk away. You don't need their permission to remain unavailable for conflict. If someone wants escalation and you refuse, the escalation ends with you. Escalation ends here. Say it internally. Draw the boundary. You are the gatekeeper of your behavior. Nothing continues without your participation. This is responsibility. Most people believe conflict is shared. In truth, continuation is chosen. Someone throws a spark. You decide whether there will be fire. Silence protects me, because once words leave your mouth, they cannot return. They can be quoted, remembered, misunderstood. Silence leaves nothing to repair, nothing to regret, nothing to explain later. And in many cases, silence communicates disapproval more effectively than argument. It says, "This is beneath engagement." Powerful. But again uncomfortable. It's not about comfort. It's about discipline. You must tolerate the unfinished feeling. You must tolerate being temporarily misunderstood. You must tolerate not correcting the narrative immediately. That tolerance builds emotional endurance. Endurance builds authority. Now notice something subtle. When you disengage, you remain stable. Your heart rate lowers. Your thinking clears. Your time returns to you. Instead of being captured by someone else's agitation, you preserve your direction. Your goals matter more than their irritation. Never forget that. I disengage calmly. Calmly is essential. Storming away is still participation. Dramatic silence is still noise. True disengagement is simple. Neutral face. Steady movement. You leave without theater. That is control. Escalation ends here. This phrase returns ownership to you. You are no longer at the mercy of someone else's emotional temperature. You are setting the limit. You are saying internally, this goes no further through me. Imagine the cumulative effect. Fewer arguments, fewer apologies, less exhaustion, more focus, more clarity, more self-respect, all because you refused unnecessary involvement. This is intelligent living. You have a choice. React and multiply the problem, or withdraw and let it shrink. Choose shrinking. Choose quiet strength. Silence protects me. Here is the takeaway. Every escalation requires mutual agreement. Remove your agreement. Peace becomes possible immediately. Carry this forward. Because once you can end conflict through silence, the next step is learning how to redirect your energy toward constructive action instead of emotional reaction. Let's move there now. Chapter 9. Respond with intention. Not habit. Habits are efficient. They save time. They reduce effort. They run automatically. And if they are poor, they quietly ruin your life. Because you repeat them without examination. Same trigger, same reaction, same outcome. Again, nothing changes. Not because change is impossible. Because you never interrupted the pattern long enough to choose differently. I respond with intent. This is the upgrade. From automatic to deliberate. From unconscious to directed. From predictable to powerful. That's the key. Most people know what they should improve. They simply continue doing what is familiar. Familiar feels safe, even when it produces frustration. So they defend their habits. They call them personality. They call them authenticity. They call them instinct. No, they are repetitions. And repetitions can be edited. You have a choice. Continue the old script. Or write a new one. But writing requires awareness. When something happens, you must ask a better question. Not, how do I feel? But, what response serves me? This question changes everything. Because now the focus moves to outcome, not emotion, not pride, not speed. Service. What produces the best result for your future? What protects your standards? What aligns with who you are becoming? You pause long enough to consider. And in that pause, intelligence appears. I respond with intent. Say it before you act. Let it slow your machinery. Intentional response means you are aiming, and aiming requires clarity. Habit does not aim. Habit fires blindly. Sometimes it hits. Often it damages. You will aim. This is deliberate, yes. Deliberate people accept responsibility for consequences. They do not hide behind, "That's just how I am." They understand that behavior is chosen, even when emotion is loud, even when pressure is real. Choice remains. You have a choice. Remember that. Because without remembering, you drift back into autopilot. Autopilot is seductive. No thinking, no effort, just repetition. But repetition built your current limitations. If you want growth, you must install new responses. Let us make this practical. Someone criticizes you. Habit says defend. Intent asks, what response serves me? Maybe you listen. Maybe you ask for detail. Maybe you thank them. Maybe you disengage. Many options. But you will never see them if habit speaks first. Or imagine delay. Habit says complain. Intent asks, what response serves me? Maybe you adapt. Maybe you reorganize. Maybe you wait. Again. Options. Intent creates flexibility. Flexibility creates power. I choose wisely. This phrase reinforces ownership. Wise choices are rarely dramatic. They are simple, measured, effective. They do not feel explosive. They feel correct. And correctness compounds over time. Habit seeks emotional satisfaction. Intent seeks strategic advantage. Which one builds a better life? You already know. So you begin practicing the question relentlessly. What response serves me? At work, at online, alone, especially when irritated. Because irritation narrows perception. It pushes you toward the old road. The familiar reaction. Pause. Ask the question. Wait for the answer that protects your long-term strength. You don't need their permission to respond intelligently. Others may expect the old you. Let them. They will adjust, or they will be confused. Neither is your problem. Your task is alignment with your principles. This is deliberate. Now understand something important. At first, intentional response will feel slower. Good, slow means considered. Considered means improved. Over time, this becomes natural. Your new habit becomes intention. And now growth accelerates. Because your automatic behavior is high quality. But you earn that later. Right now you must stay conscious. I respond with intent. Again. I respond with intent. Feel the authority in it. You are no longer a product of circumstance. You are a designer of behavior. That identity changes posture, voice, and decision. You become reliable to yourself. And self-trust is priceless. Because when pressure comes, you know you will not abandon your standards. You will choose wisely. That's the key. Here is the takeaway. Growth begins the moment you stop asking, "What do I feel like doing?" and start asking, "What serves my direction?" Ask it consistently. Answer it honestly. Then act. Carry this forward. Because once your responses become intentional, the next step is learning how to maintain this discipline consistently across days, not just moments. Let's move into that now. Chapter 10. Become consistent under all conditions. Anyone can behave well occasionally. When rested, when respected, when comfortable. Temporary control is common. Mastery is not. Mastery is stability across conditions, noise or silence, praise or criticism, ease or pressure. Same person, I am steady. This is the standard, not perfection, consistency. Because inconsistency destroys trust. If you are calm today and explosive tomorrow, no one knows which version they will meet, including you. Unpredictability is weakness. It means environment decides behavior. And if environment decides behavior, you are not in command. My response is controlled. Say it with weight. Control is not a mood. It is a commitment. A commitment you keep especially when it is inconvenient. That's the key. Most people abandon principles under discomfort. They say, I was tired. They say, I had a bad day. They say, they pushed me. Excuses. Conditions changed. Standards should not. Because your character cannot depend on convenience. If it does, it disappears exactly when needed. You are training reliability. When pressure increases, your discipline must remain. You have a choice. Match the chaos, or remain the reference point. Be the reference point. When others rise, you stay level. When others rush, you stay deliberate. When others react, you choose I am steady. Repeat it in different environments. At work, at home, in public, in private. The location does not change the rule. Because the rule is internal. Many people perform control socially and lose it privately. That is not mastery. That is image management. You are not managing image. You are building identity. Identity is who you are when no one watches. If your discipline disappears without witnesses, it never existed. My response is controlled. Again, my response is controlled. Consistency also simplifies life. Fewer apologies, fewer surprises, fewer emotional recoveries. Why? Because people can predict you. They know you will be fair, measured, calm. Predictability creates safety. Safety builds respect. Respect builds influence, all from repetition. Now expect challenge. Fatigue will come. Stress will come. Provocation will come. These are exams. They ask a simple question. Are you who you claim to be? Or only when it is easy? Your answer is behavioral. You show it or you don't. It's not about comfort. It's about discipline. Discipline means the rule survives discomfort. You may feel anger. You may feel frustration. But feeling is not failure. Acting without control is. So you maintain form, posture stable, tone measured, words reduced, same standards everywhere. You don't need their permission to stay consistent. Others may change with mood. Let them. You will not drift. Drifting is expensive. It costs reputation and self-respect. And self-respect is built when you prove to yourself that you can be trusted. I trust myself. This is earned. You earn it each time you hold your structure under difficulty. Each time you could explode but don't. Each time you could rush but wait. Each time you could argue but choose precision. Brick by brick, trust grows. And once it grows, anxiety decreases. Because you know your future behavior, you will handle it. Whatever it is, calmly. That is confidence, not optimism. Evidence? I am steady. You are becoming the person others rely on in tension. Because you do not amplify problems. You stabilize them. This makes you valuable. Work in family, in leadership. People gravitate toward emotional anchors. Become one. Consistency also removes internal debate. No more should I react differently today. No, you already decided. Your standards are set. Follow them. Decision fatigue disappears. Life becomes cleaner. My response is controlled. Remember, repetition transforms effort into nature. What feels hard now becomes automatic later. But only if you refuse exceptions. The moment you allow special circumstances, the structure weakens. Hold the line. Every day, you have a choice. Temporary release or permanent growth. Choose growth. Here is the takeaway. Mastery is not shown in rare moments of excellence. It is proven in ordinary moments repeated without failure. Be the same person, anywhere, under any condition. Carry this forward. Because now that you can remain consistent, the next step is learning how to build a life where fewer things disturb you in the first place. Let's step into that. Silo Senj, you cannot control events, but you can control your response. Every pause strengthens you. Every measured reply builds authority. From now on, slow the moment. Breathe before speaking. Choose before acting. Reaction is automatic. Control is trained.